expectation was that we would have over 1,500 of our residents die. But with swift action, and one life is too many, but 592 deaths in our community are real, they're relevant, but you know what? It could have been worse. And we see the impact around not only the globe, but right here in our country. Lives lost. Even yesterday, one day alone, 1,600 people. So the reality is COVID is still among us. Everything we do has to be focused on mitigating risks as best as possible. Every action that we've taken, yes, it's also with taking the risk because we have to. It's essential. If we're going to find that balance as it relates to public health, public safety, and opening up our economy. Because of the hard work, the civic trust demonstrated by our residents, this is why we're here. We flattened the curve twice. We did that. But in order for the city to move forward as it relates to guidelines in place, we put out a phase 3 in phases, 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3. We're right now in 3.2, and we thank our people for that. But if we want to move forward into 3.3, what we do now will ultimately determine where we will be. Not just for Halloween on October the 31st, which is our date that we had set to move into 3.3. But the call today and the real call to action is that in the city of New Orleans, we want to continue to make steady progress without any regression. And we can do that. We're making this call to action today because we literally can do it by taking action now. And as we're approaching a weekend, last weekend on Bourbon Street, as we moved into 3.2, as we moved into opening up our city just a little bit more, where we allowed our bars to open up outdoor only, where we expanded capacity in our restaurants, in our businesses. We did that. But as a result, what we saw throughout our city, and particularly on the world stage of Bourbon Street, was unacceptable. And if we're going to continue to move forward in the spirit, and yes, the push is real as well, pushing for more easement. But this is as far as we can go if we don't get it right. But we can. And that's why I'm here, side by side, from front to back, with partners in our community, business community, tourism industry, our football association as it relates to Saints, Pelicans, our sports partners, public safety officials. We're here. And I'm so glad you're here with me. You just don't know. You just don't know. I'm so happy to be here at this time. Because this is the type of unity that we need in our city. And we need more of it right now. So, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jennifer Begnaud, who, as you know, is our director of the New Orleans Health Department, the only health department in the state of Louisiana. So, Dr. Begnaud, I ask you to come forward, and we can hear more from you, but all of this is in the spirit of getting people to do the right thing as it relates to putting that mask on, keeping your distance, so we can continue to move this city forward to real progress. Dr. Begnaud.
because the message is simple, as the mayor said. We know what works. We know that what has allowed us not only to crush our curve, but to keep it low, to have the lowest positivity rate in the state and certainly in our region. And that's very simple things we've been saying from the very beginning. Wearing that mask, keeping that distance, and avoiding large gatherings. And I just want to highlight what's going on back here. I don't know that it might be obvious. You know, we've done a really good job at not creating opportunities for large super spreader events. But the virus is still here and there is still spread in the community. And where we're finding a lot of it is happening is in small, casual get-togethers. So the neighborhood barbecue at your neighbor's house. Maybe it only has 10 people. Or your kid goes over to a friend's house for a play date. And you think, well, it's small and it's my neighbor, so I can take my mask off and maybe I can sit a little bit closer. It's that lunch that you go to with your girlfriends and you say, well, I know they're all okay. That's where we're seeing spread. Those small, intimate gatherings where we relax just a little bit. And so you see everybody's standing in a small group, but they've still got their mask on, right? And if this was, a gathering, they're still spread apart. And so as you're thinking about how are you going to go do Halloween or what are you going to do this weekend, it's just as much worrying about those large crowds on Bourbon Street that we want to continue to get a handle on, but it's also those small things we do in our daily life that we have to treat the same way. And that's wearing a mask and staying our distance, whether it's our neighbor or somebody that's visiting from our city. And so thank you to everyone who understands, as you all do, and you get it, and you keep doing it for the good of the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Begno. Now I had our fierce leader and owner of the Saints and Pelicans ready and willing to join us. However, we need to keep Miss Gail Bitts in that bubble so she can be in the dome on Sunday. It's important. So I just wanted to extend to you. She wished she could be here, but we need to follow NFL guidelines as well because we've taken a step towards progress with letting fans back into the dome, 4%, but it's a step, and it's a step in the right direction. We want to keep on stepping. So I'm going to call up now Mark Roman, Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer for New Orleans and Company, and the legacy voice for our Saints. I said legacy.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. We do appreciate you inviting us to be here today on behalf of the hospitality community to stress the idea that not only visitors but us locals, I'm a local like many of you, have to wash hands regularly, wear masks, and socially distance. It's very important. And we're very, very proud that our industry, the convention center, our hotels, restaurants, and retail have been at the vanguard of national leadership in creating an unprecedented safe environment for locals and visitors to enjoy. NOLA Safe is a reality for our visitors, and we've achieved some of the highest standards in the country, whether it's the Gold Star accreditation at the center, our hotels are dedicated to their highest national standards, and the restaurants are part of national protocols to ensure a very safe environment. The local restaurants follow something called Serve Safe, which is out of the National Restaurant Association, so that guests as well as the people who work within the restaurants are treating each other respectfully and with that safety in mind. You know, it's interesting, in New Orleans on an average year, and we'll go back to 2019, we had roughly 18 million people visit. Those are both day trippers as well as those people who came and stayed overnight. And so normally there would be like a 45-to-1 ratio of visitors to us locals. That has switched now. We have more locals than visitors. We have a few thousand visitors that come in on the weekends, but mainly it's the locals that are populating our restaurants and our attractions and providing some business opportunities for those destinations. It's important for us to be spending money within our community to keep those businesses alive. But what I'm saying is that it's just as critical for our locals to do what's necessary to get us to 3.3. Wear the mask, wash the hands, and socially distant. We're not going to get out of this if we don't do it ourselves. We are messaging to visitors everywhere we can and every way we have known to our assets to wear a mask. If you come to New Orleans, wear a mask. If you come to New Orleans, personal hygiene. If you come to New Orleans, socially distant. And we say the same thing to our friends and neighbors down the block and across the street and in our communities throughout the city of New Orleans. So again, for a while, our locals are going to be our largest customers. We will gradually see people come back to the city of New Orleans. That's our job, is to get that spending back here so that the mayor and the resources the city needs, as well as the state, return in a way that we can have our city services and our state services renewed. But until then, it's going to be up to us to make sure that we have the freedom to do what we need to do to keep this economy going. So, Madam Mayor, thank you for letting us be part of this, and we are going to be washing our hands, socially distancing, and wearing our masks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mark. But we're going to just keep it going. And I'm going to ask now if Swin Cash, representing the New Orleans Pelicans, can come up and share with us.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to raise it up a little bit. I'll put it back down, I promise you. It is an honor for me to be here today, united with everyone behind me for this cause. We all know across the city that we made great strides in trying to understand COVID-19, but understanding what we have to do to stay safe. We have to remember to not only wear our masks, but to social distance. It is important to keep that 6 feet between us, whether it's at a sporting event, whether you're at a restaurant, or whether with a group of friends at your home. We have seen how the restaurants and other businesses successfully have reopened. And that's thanks to your leadership, Madam Mayor. In order for us to continue to move forward, we need everyone to follow the guidelines, especially if we want to get back to seeing our sporting events with all of those fans in the stands. We're all on the same team with a goal to help each other stay safe. Let's stick to the game plan, and we'll have our fans not only back in the Superdome cheering on our Saints, but also back at the Smoothie King Center cheering on the Pelicans shortly. Finally, I really just want to thank the great leaders of our city. We've seen what's been going on around the country, and I want to say to you, Madam Mayor, that your unapologetic leadership has been a breath of fresh air. I stand here today because Ms. Benson, as the mayor said, couldn't be with us due to the NFL protocols. But please know she is committed not only to making sure that our city can stay safe, but that also the Saints and Pelicans are leading the way in everything that we do. I also would like to thank, with me here, my colleagues today, our Executive Vice President, David Griffin, and our GM, Trajan Lang. Our players have been so committed to supporting not only the community, but getting the message out to mask up, social distance, and stay safe. And that's how we're going to champion this real change and get back to normal, one step at a time. So thanks for having me here, and continue to wear your mask and mask up Nola.
Right, and last but not least, our Chief of Police, Sean Ferguson, who every week, working with a united team, a unified team as it relates to code enforcement and other enforcement agencies, as they go out and do the tireless work, not only protecting and serving, but pushing the enforcement measures that are needed to keep our city safe. We can sure make their lives a little bit more, a little bit easier if we just follow the rules and do what we know is the right thing to do. But I need to call up my chief, who I have also authorized by the ordinances that are already on the books. People don't mask up, that they could be fined up to $500 in Orleans Parish. Now I've worked out something as well. Can't pay the $500 fine? You can surely work it off doing litter abatement in the city of New Orleans, because it's a lot to clean up. Again, our city. So this is just another urge and another encouragement to follow the simple guidelines to put that mask on, keep your distance, so we can stay on track, opening up our city to our residents, to our visitors, to our business owners. Chief?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to message out to everyone. The New Orleans Police Department is committed to 24-hour support of all of our city agencies, all of our city departments, in enforcing the mayor's mandate when it comes to COVID-19. Social distancing, wearing of your mask, avoiding large crowds, and illegal business operations. To compel greater compliance, the New Orleans Police Department will escalate its enforcement when necessary by working in tandem with our city departments. We will provide assistance when it is determined by code enforcement or anyone else that citations are warranted for people violating the mandates of the mayor's COVID-19 mandates. These citations, as the mayor has said, fines can be up to $500, but if not, you can work them off to help benefit our city. As always, we will continue to accompany our city agencies and city departments to cite businesses or close them for violating these mandates. We will, as a department, continue to monitor some of our bad actors, such as Airbnb owners, short-term rentals, extended stay hotels. We are well aware of the large parties that are occurring at these various locations, and as such, we will not tolerate them any longer. This is unsafe, and it's not healthy for any of us, not just for the participants that are attending, but the family members that they're going home to, the grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles, that they're returning home to, with these unintended consequences of possibly spreading this virus to them. So our response will be swift, it will be concise, in holding not just the owners of these locations, but the organizers as well of these events accountable. Residents can report large gatherings at 311, or they can go to NOLA311.org. Our city still faces a significant risk when it comes to COVID-19. So please, let's work together. Let's wear our masks, let's socially distance, let's wash our hands so that we can push through this pandemic together. The restrictions are in place for everyone's safety, and we have come too far to let our guard down now. So please help us help you by all of us pulling through this together. Again, thank you for your cooperation in advance as we try to move forward. Thank you again.
Thank you, Chief. I think our message has been loud and clear. And I want to thank you all again for being here. There will be a couple of changes that we are working to put in place for this weekend. One is that banners will be erected along Bourbon Street, mask up, encouraging everything that we just talked about. Working with our business community, our hospitality community, we're making this happen. There'll not only be banners along as you enter, but even on balconies as you move through. I've also asked my Department of Public Works to begin to put markings on Bourbon Street to encourage the flow of traffic. One-way directions. One side to the right, you're going. Other side, you're coming this way. So the markings are expected to be in place by tomorrow. We're working on that now. So just taking some other, steps to reinforce the guidelines that are in place and to encourage positive behavior from our visitors, from our residents. Because we should be proud to be in the city of New Orleans. We should be proud to not only live here, but proud to visit and understand how far we've come because of your civic trust. There are still many cities across the country that do not have their children back in school. We do. Private, public, and parochial, from pre-K to 12th grade. We want to keep them in school. We now have businesses opening up. We want to keep them open. Regression is not in sight, only moving forward. So with that, Mr. Time's going to end. Rain is coming down, but we've been blessed since we've been here, but we'll take a couple of questions.
Okay, just 1 or 2 quick questions. DSU.
Could you tell us about the easements expected in phase 3.3?
So 3.3 is mainly focusing on looking at expanding as it relates to large gathering sizes, both in terms of indoor like hotels and so they can accommodate more weddings. I'm hearing from them, even as it relates to rehearsal dinners and that sort of thing. Also as it relates to a capacity indoor with our bars, 25%, that sort of thing. So more easement. Of course, as we look at fans coming into the dome, that sort of thing. But we have to get there in order for a further easement to happen. And that's what we're encouraging this afternoon.
One more question. When it comes to the $500 fines, when do they go into effect? Does this apply to anyone who does not have on a mask?
This is already laws on the books. Been there. Already on the books. It's just a matter of taking that step to enforce based on our police officers' discretion and making sure, again, that we do what we do best, and that is uphold constitutional policing practices every step of the way.
If you could just speak to some of these large gatherings that you mentioned, your concern on Bourbon Street, but also we saw the big bike ride this week on Magazine Street where there was a large crowd gathered. Is this something that you guys are going to pay extra attention to? And could participants perhaps be fined as well, these type of events?
We are looking at all area. We cannot single out a certain area, a certain street, a certain neighborhood, a certain person. We can't do that, and we will not do that. However, if the mandates are not followed, police officers do have the authority to issue a citation up to $500. And for our advocates, I've made provisions, as I did as a council member, as I'm doing as mayor. You can work it off by cleaning up this city. There's always a way. It's always a way.
All right. Last question.
Okay, just when it comes to furloughs for the fire department, are any stations having to temporarily close due to furloughs? And if so, which ones?
Sure. So now you know how I do, right? You know how I finish a press conference on that particular subject matter. I make myself available for any pullouts and any other questions you may have. I do that, and I will do that today. But I will not subject my partners, although I know they're going to continue to stand with me. But I will not subject them to other matters because that is not why they're here. So with that, I'll dismiss this, and then I'll get back with you.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you all so much.
Well, Tanya, can we have them stay there to take a picture?